Hello and welcome to Monday's Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us. On the programme this evening.
Together for just 10 days, an inquest opens into the death of a twin baby boy at Royal Bolton Hospital after a catalogue of failings.
Katie hasn't been seen since Friday. Now police confirm a man arrested on suspicion of kidnap is known to her.
Absolutely disgusting. She doesn't deserve half the rubbish that she gets thrown at her.
Anger over sexist comments by MPs targeting the Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner.
The end of an era in Oldham as the Latics are relegated from the Football League.
Born in France, made in Manchester, the violinist who's taken the TikTok world by storm.
And definitely some sunshine in the mix during the course of this week, but delicate plants will need some tender loving care. Cold nights ahead, full forecast a little later on.
Well, first tonight, the parents searching for answers after a catalogue of maternity failings led to the death of a baby boy.
Kingsley Olusupo was born with his twin sister Princess at the Royal Bolton Hospital in 2019, but died 10 days later.
He'd been diagnosed with bacterial meningitis and sepsis, and now the Trust has admitted opportunities were missed to save his life.
Today, an inquest into his death was opened, and we can cross now to our correspondent Andy Bonner, who is at Bolton Coroner's Court. Andy, what more can you tell us?
Lucy, like you say, Kingsley was just 10 days old when he died at Royal Bolton Hospital in April 2019. His inquest heard today that he died from multiple organ failure due to bacterial meningoencephalitis. Now, the family's lawyers say that it followed a catalogue of failures by maternity services. In the days after his premature birth, his temperature was low and he was slow to feed. That is in stark contrast to his twin sister. The court heard that these and 3 other markers should have meant that Kingsley should have been screened for infections and given antibiotics. But 2 midwives said today that they weren't aware at the time of what those markers were. Another noticed a red rash on him, but didn't link it to infection. These rashes come and go, she said today, maintaining that it was simply a mild newborn rash.
Andy, have we heard from Kingsley's family?
Yeah, the court listened to a statement from Kingsley's father from September of 2019. Tunde said that both he and Kingsley's mother, Nicola, felt that doctors failed to keep them informed of his treatment. They were devastated, he said, to learn the hospital was giving up on him, saying there was nothing more they could do. And they both disagreed when the hospital said that he had died of natural causes. Now, Bolton NHS Foundation Trust has since apologised and accepted full liability. It has admitted that if antibiotics were provided in a timely manner, then Kingsley would not have died. Now, the family have already received an undisclosed compensation payment, but they say that this whole thing has torn them apart, and it is not about the money. They want to ensure that lessons have been learned. The Trust says it will be cooperating fully with the inquest this week to understand what it can learn from such tragic circumstances. The inquest will continue here for the rest of this week.
Okay, Andy at Bolton Coroner's Court for now. Thank you.
Well, next tonight, the mystery disappearance of a woman from Burnley and an urgent appeal from the police for help. Police have arrested a man and have confirmed that he is known to her.
Yes, Katie Kenyon, who's 33, was last seen on Friday in Burnley. A man's been questioned on suspicion of kidnap.
Well, now police and mountain rescue teams are searching an area of forest in Bolton by Bowland.
Our reporter Tim Scott has the latest.
The last sighting of Katie Kenyon was around 9:30 on Friday morning when a woman matching her description was seen getting into a silver transit van with a man in Burnley. Police say the van then travelled to this area, Bolton by Bowland, around 16 miles or half an hour away that morning. Now, police have released this picture of the transit van in question. It's silver and its registration is MT57 FLC. They told us earlier that they're hoping that maybe the van and or Katie was captured on somebody's dash cam or on CCTV when she was in the area over the weekend, or perhaps even being seen by visitors to this area.
It's an area that is it's a heavily wooded area. It's an area of actually outstanding natural beauty that many dog walkers and other people enjoy. It was a lovely weekend. There may have been lots of people who may have seen Katie.
Now, a 50-year-old man who police say is known to Katie has been arrested on suspicion of kidnap. He's being questioned by detectives at the moment, and they've been granted an extra 36 hours to keep him in custody and under investigation. The police are being helped by the fire service and teams from Mountain Rescue. They also told us tonight that Katie's family are understandably distraught. They just want her home safe as soon as possible.
Tim Scott's reporting there. Next, rank sexism is how the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer described a newspaper report featuring the Ashton-under-Lyne MP Angela Rayner.
Yeah, a lot of people are really angry about this. Instead of focusing on policy issues or political debate, the article accused the deputy leader of the Labour Party of trying to distract Boris Johnson in the Commons by crossing and uncrossing her legs.
The report, which was published in the Mail on Sunday, has now had more than 5,000 complaints.
Well, our political correspondent, Leisha McNally, joins us in studio. Understandably, this has provoked a lot of anger and frustration about the message that it sends out.
Absolutely, Lucy, because it's utterly depressing, isn't it? Here we are in 2022, and yet mainstream media coverage of women in politics is still taking this kind of turn. Now, as Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Angela Rayner stands in for Keir Starmer when he's unable to appear at Prime Minister's questions. And it's a style of debate that she's widely regarded to be very good at. But now this article quotes an unnamed Conservative MP who claims that the way she sits during these exchanges is somehow a deliberate ploy to put the Prime Minister off. Now, the MP for Ashton-under-Lyne has raised serious concerns that this source is not only outdated and sexist, it's also deliberately classist, suggesting she's unable to keep up with the Oxford University Union style of debating that the Prime Minister received at university. Posting on Twitter, she says she hopes this won't stop working-class women from aspiring to participate in public life, adding, "That would break my heart. We need more people in politics with backgrounds like mine." Well, this article has been widely condemned by people both in and out of Westminster. Here's what women in her constituency had to say about it today.
Absolutely disgusting. She doesn't deserve half the rubbish that she gets thrown at her. She does what she does, and she does it well.
It's wrong. I mean, they've picked on her, haven't they? You know, she should be able to sit and do what she wants. I don't think she was doing it intentionally.
I felt sorry for her, and I felt sorry for every woman as well, because if you can't cross your legs, I mean, men do it, why not? Like women, so, yes.
What he was saying that it was to put Boris Johnson off was horrendous, and it just felt a bit archaic as well.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister was in Bury today. He says he respects Ms Rayner as a parliamentarian and utterly condemns this kind of anonymous insult.
I have to say, I thought it was a most appalling load of a sexist, misogynist tripe, and I immediately got in touch with Angela, and we had a very friendly exchange. And you know, if we ever find who was responsible for it, well, I don't know what we'll do with them, but we'll be the terrors of the earth. But you know, it's totally intolerable, that kind of thing.
Now, as to which MP actually made this comment, journalists have to protect their sources, so we're unlikely to find out who it was, though ministers have suggested there'd be serious consequences for anyone who holds these kind of views. There are also calls for the newspaper responsible to lose access to Parliament. That's in the hands of another North West MP, the Speaker of the House of Commons. He's condemned this coverage as utterly offensive and summoned the editor of the Mail on Sunday to a meeting.
That'd be a very interesting meeting, I think, Leisha. Thank you very much for that. Sure, we'll be talking about that one for quite a long time to come. Certainly got my blood boiling. Now then, do we need more cycle lanes? A man from Lancaster says that his father is lucky to be alive and is calling for action to help keep cyclists safe.
Mark Bryan suffered catastrophic injuries when he was struck by a lorry as he cycled home from work in 2018.
Well, now his son Joshua is campaigning for a new cycle lane on the Old Bay Gateway near Heysham.
He's been speaking to Jamal Williams-Thomas.
So it was December 2018 and my dad had just been working overtime, and as he was cycling home from work, he was struck by a HGV flatbed truck, and unfortunately he was left for dead at the side of the road.
Mark Bryan was cycling home from work on the Old Bay Gateway in Lancashire when he was struck by an HGV. He was put into an induced coma and sustained multiple serious injuries. The old stretch of the bypass which links Morecambe to Heysham doesn't have a cycle lane.
It was just heartbreaking, and to give him that final kiss goodbye, thinking he wasn't going to make it, still to this day I struggle to even think about it.
His son Josh is now campaigning for a protected cycle lane to be installed along the route.
The county council need to implement a protected cycle lane, because right now it's not safe, and my dad is living proof that it's not safe.
As we were filming, a young cyclist rode past, struggling to even keep his balance on the road. Lancashire County Council say more and more people are choosing to walk and cycle for everyday journeys, and the serious incident involving Mr Brandwood's father highlights that there is a real need to provide better options for vulnerable road users. We're committed to improving walking and cycling and would encourage people to take part in our consultation. In regards to this campaign, what would you say to cyclists, road users in the local area?
So my plea to locals in the area is to get behind my campaign and fill out the survey. If they're watching this and they're directly affected and they do want to make a difference, well, that's one of the perks of living in our democracy, is we can tell the authorities how we really feel. We don't want other families to go through what we did, because it's not pleasant at all.
Jamal Williams-Thomas, ITV News, Morecambe.
Well, next tonight, the mum from Lancashire who's been competing on the world sporting stage at the Invictus Games after surviving breast cancer.
Yeah, and how? Jill Charlton didn't compete in just one sport, but three. She serves in the Army Welfare Service and is now back from representing Team UK. She joins us in studio tonight. So thanks for coming in, Jill. What's been the best bit of advice that anyone's given you through this?
I think I've had two good pieces of advice. Whilst I was training, I was lucky enough to meet Linford Christie, and I asked him how he handled his Olympic nerves and things like that. And he told me that he just always imagined he was a lion and he outsmarted his competitors like that. So I just kept thinking, be a lion, be Linford. And another one, the night before our powerlifting event, I coached sportsers about just owning the moment and being in that moment, and I think that was really lovely and really helped us to relax. And
great advice. You didn't make it easy for yourself, did you? Because it was swimming, powerlifting, you're tiny to be powerlifting, and rowing.
Yes, so I chose all three because I was a complete novice at all three, and I thought I'd give myself a challenge. I chose swimming because I was scared of swimming and scared of diving in, so I thought, well, I'll give that a go. Rowing because I just thought it was disgusting. So I thought, what better time to learn with some world-class coaches. And powerlifting I chose because I'm a cancer survivor and I take hormone medication, which puts me almost into an early menopause. And I know that really I need to look after myself for the rest of my life to try and counteract the effects of that. So I'm really conscious that I could have issues with bone density and that strength training and things like that helps.
The picture of health you look now.
The pictures that we've seen of you competing are just fantastic. You got the chance to meet Prince Harry and Meghan along the way on this journey. The Invictus Games very much their baby. What was that experience like?
It was just wonderful. I wasn't sure what to expect meeting them both. I've met Prince Harry before, but obviously not Meghan. But they were both really, really genuine, lovely people who really, you really felt that they cared about us and cared about the cause and cared about it all, and it was just really special and really lovely.
And where did this journey begin? Because I think I'm right in saying that you don't have a sporting background, so
No,
how did this all start?
So, yeah, when I got diagnosed with cancer, I was on long-term sick leave from the Army. And part of the process for long-term people in the Army for long-term sick is to introduce us to sports recovery to try and get us back into sort of building up our mental resilience and things like that. So I went on a sports recovery course, and at the same time it just coincided with the application process for the Invictus Games. I watched the Sydney Invictus Games. Another local resident, Johnny Mitchell, was competing in powerlifting, and I thought maybe I could give that a go. And then I happened to bump into Michelle Partington, who's from Blackburn, competed at the last Games, and had a chat with her and put my name in the hat. I never thought for a second I would get in the team.
Well, well done for doing the Northwest proud. It is an absolute
Thank
honour
you.
to meet you. Well done.
Thanks.
And some great pictures for the album.
My mantra from now on, from here on
Be a
in,
lion.
be a lion.
Be a lion.
Be a lion. You at home.
Thank you for that.
OK, here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary.
Coming up on the programme, 4 people are stabbed to death at a house in South London. Police describe the attack as deeply shocking. A man in his 20s has been arrested on suspicion of murder. We will have the latest. Too little, too late. The government steps in to help with shortages of HRT, but only after women have gone to desperate lengths to get it. A special report into the shocking rise in children being groomed and abused online. And
I've come into possession of a villa in the south of France.
we catch up with the cast of Downton Abbey as the show heads abroad and into a new era. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Thank you, Smith. OK, time for sport now, and a sad day for Oldham Athletic Football Club, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. I think everyone in the town is really struggling to get their heads around this one today. The unthinkable became reality over the weekend as Oldham Athletic were relegated from the Football League for the first time in the club's history. Protests by supporters directed at the club's owner interrupted Saturday's match at home to Salford City. When the game eventually ended, the curtain came down on 115 years of league football in the town. Chris Hall was there.
Sharp waiting! Sharp scoring!
30 years ago, Oldham Athletic were beating Manchester City. Now, instead of glorious trips to Wembley, they'll play at Wealdstone, a non-league club, for the first time since 1907.
Just couldn't believe it. It's another Wimbledon, really, isn't it? They sort of went on the slippy slope. Had a fantastic affinity with the club and with the spectators. I just feel sorry for them.
Shocked that we're going down, devastated.
I think we were all expecting it, weren't we? And
Before the tears came the anger. Losing to Salford and with results elsewhere going against them, Oldham fans delayed the inevitable by storming the pitch, demanding the departure of club owner Abdallah Lemsagam and staying long after the game was abandoned.
Came in and bought this club with no intention of taking it anywhere other than where they've taken it now.
We're out of the league now, and I don't think we'll survive next season.
In fact, their club wasn't relegated yet. 1 hour and 40 minutes after leaving the field and with the stadium empty, the players returned to finish the game. In a surreal atmosphere, Oldham had 11 minutes to save themselves, but couldn't find the goal they needed. And so a match which started more than 3 hours and 45 minutes ago is finally over. So too is a stay in the Football League going back 115 years. It's a moment that will be talked about for generations here, and yet practically nobody was here to see it. Oldham's board of directors today took full responsibility for what they called a total failure and have promised manager John Sheridan a new contract. Meanwhile, Lemsagam is still looking to sell the club. In 4 years, he's appointed 9 managers and Oldham have been relegated twice.
You know, when you're giving people 3 and 4 weeks, 2-3 months as a coach, they sort of just about get their ideas in and then it's changed again. And I don't think that's been good for the football club. We need some new people to come into the football club, buy it.
The town is dying now that they've killed the club. And where are they? They don't care.
Do you think this club will get straight back up?
With him in, no chance. We'll liquidate, I think, if he stays.
Today, the government announced new legislation to create an independent regulator and an integrity test to protect clubs from bad owners. Oldham fans will feel that's come frustratingly too late for their fallen club. Chris Hall, ITV News, Oldham.
Well, Oldham's relegation from the Football League means Barrow survive. An incredible job by Phil Brown, who was only brought in as manager just a month ago to try to save the club from the drop. And he's done it. Barrow beat promotion hopefuls Sutton United 1-0 to preserve their League Two status for next season. Elsewhere, Wigan Athletic missed out on the chance to secure promotion to the Championship as they were held 1-1 by Plymouth, but they can wrap it up tomorrow away at Portsmouth. At the other end of League One, a precious point for struggling Fleetwood Town. Their 1-1 draw with Wimbledon keeps them just above the relegation zone. There were also victories over the weekend for Accrington Stanley. They beat Lincoln City 2-1. And for Bolton Wanderers, who won by the same scoreline away at Cheltenham. Finally, to the knockout punch that Tyson Fury insists was his last in the boxing ring. The Manchester heavyweight, who these days of course lives in Morecambe, produced a perfect performance to beat Dillian Whyte in front of a crowd of 94,000 at Wembley. The 6th round stoppage saw Fury retain his WBC World Heavyweight title. He boasts a 33-fight unbeaten record, but he insists he will now retire. And if he does, what a career it's been.
We'll be watching. Mike, thank you.
Finally this evening, to the French violinist who has taken the classical music world by storm from Manchester.
Yeah, Esther Abrami fell in love with the city when she was studying at Chetham's School of Music. So much so, she decided to stay.
She is now a TikTok sensation and has just released her debut album.
Our entertainment correspondent Caroline Whitmore has been to meet her.
My name is Esther Abrami. I'm 25 years old. I was born in France, and when I was 14 years old, I came to Manchester to Chetham's School of Music, not speaking a single word of English. I was spotted by a record label, which was Sony, to have kind of my first debut album out. It was an absolute dream come true.
Esther Abrami, goodness me, your story is incredible. You must be pinching yourself.
I am. Yes, absolutely. It's still processing right now, you know, and I'm just trying to enjoy every single moment of it because I dreamed of this since I'm a kid. I was 14, I came here and yeah, I couldn't speak a word of English and people were just speaking, you know, around me. I had no idea what they were saying.
What was it about Manchester that you loved?
People were just so friendly. If you were lost and I was lost at the beginning, you know, people were always so helpful. And the fact that the school is in the city centre, it was amazing to be able to go out sometimes and you're literally just within the centre, everything's around. The only thing that took me a little while to get used to was the weather. But apart from that,
people always moan about the weather.
You know, coming from the south of France.
Marseille or Manchester, and you've chosen Manchester, haven't you? That's where you've chosen to now live.
Yeah, when I graduated, I thought, where should I settle? And I just remembered Manchester, and it does feel like coming back home, and it has become my second home, definitely.
Chet is a world-renowned school, and we have students from all over the world. And it was wonderful when Esther decided to come out all the way from Provence to Chet's to study here. I worked with her many times in performance classes and went to all her lunchtime concerts. I remember a particular performance of La Sinfonia Espagnole, which she played with such passion. Seeing the way her playing blossomed while she was here.
Your debut album, Esther Abrami, is out now. You are really trying to get classical music out there to the younger people, aren't you? You're across Instagram, TikTok.
With social media, it gave me this tool to be able to actually share it to a huge amount, you know, a huge number of people. And people who wouldn't usually listen to classical music. It's a world that can seem inaccessible sometimes.
You've got a great love for cats, haven't you? Tell me what this is all about.
I found a cat shelter and I'm with them 24/7, and obviously I practice the violin 4 hours a day. So usually they start on my lap. A lot of them fall asleep. They all have different reactions to it. Some of them fall asleep, calms them down.
I'm sure it's not a testament to your playing, the fact that some of them fall asleep.
I don't take it personally.
Best of luck with your debut album, Esther.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful sound, and just the twitching tail from the cat. Beautiful. Okay, let's get the weather now. Here's Kerry.
He's cooked up a storm and now's going to scrape the fat into the bin instead of the sink. My guy.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hang on, was that fish?
Hello, very good evening to you.
More cloud around the region today, but not as windy as it was at the weekend. But despite those winds on Saturday and Sunday, some great views from across the region, like this one by Grant Robertson. Fabulous in Fleetwood. A big thank you to Cheryl Duran for the shots. And Bob Bedford stayed a little bit close to home near Darwin, but why wouldn't you with scenes like that? It stays pretty settled for much of the week ahead across the northwest. There will be variable amounts of cloud, mostly dry. Can't rule out an odd shower as we head into Tuesday, but the emphasis with clearer skies and lighter winds on some pretty chilly nights for this time in late April. We look to the north for high pressure building, settling things down as the week progresses. So yes, not necessarily sunny, but the winds will be light and for most of us dry for much of the week ahead. So overnight tonight, certainly for this evening, some patchy cloud and an odd shower, but for much of the night it's dry, clear and pretty cold with similar temperatures to last night. So in rural sheltered spots hovering just above freezing. So a chilly enough start as we head into tomorrow. Big thank you to Gracie Taylor for this shot. 5:47 and 8:32 are your Tuesday sun times. Chilly start, but a good dose of sunshine. So there's temperatures lifting quite quickly during the morning, and into the afternoon we are expecting a bit more cloud, although mostly dry. And where the sun does pop out, especially for the Isle of Man and the coastline, 14, 15, just above the average for the time of year. Now that cloud will once more melt away as we head into tomorrow night, a touch of frost into Wednesday morning. More sunshine expected on Wednesday, so under those clearer skies Wednesday night really will be quite cold, and in rural, well-sheltered spots sub-zero. Then the temperatures start to climb as we head towards the end of the week, and yes, mostly dry.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Bob! Amy!
Thanks, Kerry. Tomorrow, Knowsley Safari Park celebrates an incredible 50 years since opening.
God, you've got to love those animals, don't you? Awesome.
Yeah, be sure to join us for that.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.